Hello, welcome to another video. Today my subject is Second World War, also other wars we are in. Well, the last video was a little bit cruel, but well, I'm sorry, it must be said, because you have to know how this power structure work of the Antichrist, how the devil works. And well, some people recognize me and they say just "Whoa, crass," or that means I don't know in English. It means maybe like what a shit or whatever, and then they pass me going by and they say maybe, well, um, I'm glad that this is not my problem, and but they don't understand that we all live in the same world, and it is also their problem. Well, I had a lot of experience. Nobody, or maybe few other people had. Well, you know, this ritual abuse, child sacrificing, but well, I try to say it in a way that all ages can see my films, and if I make a special film about those cruel things, I will make a line, 18 years line, but I try to say it in a way that also younger people can see this. And I must say it must be done. This is part of my mission, because if we want to have peace on earth, or create the kingdom of God here on earth, we have to know all these dirty tricks the devil plays, the Antichrist plays. Well, is there a force that is evil, and can this force go into people, into men? Certainly there is an evil force, and it can possess people. And is there also a good power, a good force? Yes. And are these forces fighting with each other? Yes. You can all read this in the book of Ellen White. I've forgotten the title. It's also written in the Revelation of St. John. And if you know the Bible, you know that there are many temptations. Also the people of Israel had temptations, and whenever they were tempted to do evil things, to forget their God, and worshipping things what they did with their hands, and so they were always given in the hands of the enemies. And for my people here in Germany, I can say many men worshipping their cars, soccer. You know, in Germany it's soccer, in America it's football, but it is all this trick the Antichrist plays, that they forgot their God and also the Bible. What is really cruel in this moment is that this judgment is wanted by God. We have now the devil is set free by God to make his judgment, and many of my people here in Germany don't understand because they don't know the Bible anymore. And this judgment can also include children, grandchildren and great-grandchildren. It is the judgment for the Holocaust. Also what we have here now, you know, this war with Morgellons, and the people, they have it inside their bodies and they don't know, and they dying slowly. So, well, they think maybe, well, I have nothing to do with the Holocaust, but it is not how it works. No. People who know the Bible, they would say, I will never go after the children of Israel because I fear the God of Israel, because at any time there were other people, you can read it in the Bible, that were tried to destroy the children of Israel. They were punished, persecuted by God. And what you have to do if you plan a Holocaust, you must take the Bible away from certain people you choose to do the Holocaust, and it was the people of Germany. How they did it? Well, they created a big kingdom, the Second German Reich. It was founded in 1871 by the Hohenzollern. It is a noble family from the south of Germany, Hohenzollern, and they led Germany into the First World War. That was the goal. In the same year, in 1871, Albert Pike wrote that we will, well, Albert Pike was the leader of the Freemasons in North America. He wrote, he made a statement, we will create a second 30-year war. Well, the first was already in 1618 to 1648. That was the first attempt to destroy the Reformation, but the papacy didn't succeed, so they made plans about infiltration, how they can take over governments in Europe, in Western Europe. And the plan was already made in 1871 to create a new 30-year war and create a kingdom in Europe, continental Europe, that is stronger than France. So that was a Prussian Empire. And after this war between Prussia and France, so Prussia won, so they took also the southern parts of Germany, Bavaria, Württemberg, into this Prussian kingdom or Second Reich. And this flag of the Second Reich, it is not innocent. Some people say, well, this Reichsbürger, so that there are people who have this flag and they say, well, we want to have this old Germany back before the Hitler came. So Hitler was evil, but before it was all innocent. It wasn't innocent. It was a plan of the Jesuit order to bring in Germany, the Protestant nation, the Protestants of the north of Germany, especially Prussia. They were all Lutheran Christians, Protestant Lutherans, and they knew the Bible. And this big Prussian kingdom and all this success they had in their wars, war against France, war against Denmark, against Austria, all these wars, and then the First World War. They were so adoring this Wilhelm II, and so they replaced the Bible and God with their with this wicked King Wilhelm II, who was all the time inside this plan, bringing Germany into the First World War. And then there was maybe a break, maybe from 1980, so then they changed the system, so the Caesar had to go to exile, so then they had a Weimar Republic and parliament, but it was somehow strange time. There were many battles inside Germany. You know, the left wing, the fascists, the communist social democrats against the fascist movement, and so then the Third Reich came, and so that was the period between 1914 to 1945. So that was almost a 30-year war, as Albert Pike said. And the result of this two world wars was that the German people lost their faith also in God, so that they said, if this can happen, so many destruction, so there is maybe no God, so that they doubted in God. But the problem was they followed the devil. The temptation of the Antichrist was to create a great Prussia power, the Second Reich, and and after the war there was so many destruction, and I will maybe tell you. I told already some stories about the war, but I tell something about my quarter in Hamburg, where I came from. It is this place. This was a new town called Eimsbüttel. It was a little bit outside from downtown. This is downtown here. You see here this downtown. It was an old castle of Hamburg, so the old wall. And I grew up here. So that was a new built place for some state workers worked for the town of Hamburg. So you can say higher jobs. They lived here, and it was all built about 905, and so my father grew up there, I grew up there, and this is the street, how it looked maybe after it was finished. So this is also my street. In my days there were more cars. So in 1905, maybe it's 1910, something like that, but it was built in this Second Reich. In this time of Wilhelm II was it built. And here's my street, and you see here this little boy. You see they had different clothes, and there was a tram. I remember this tram. It was also in the 70s. So I was born 68, and this is maybe 60 years before I was born. And it was flourishing. There were a lot of shops. The people were happy. There was no war inside. You know, this was all before the First World War started, and nobody could imagine what kind of destruction comes. Two world wars. It was before that, and this is my church. I was a Protestant church. I was confirmed when I was 14. You see here there's a big church, a Lutheran church, and unfortunately it burned down. It was in the 70s. One day I went to school, and there was the roof of the church fell down. It was a big fire, and so that was maybe 77 or 76. I don't know, remember the exact year, but the problem was that for this church they had a real Christian pastor, a Protestant pastor, who was fighting against nuclear power stations. So you can say he was a real Christian. He knew that the nuclear power is a danger for life, for people. So he was fighting against the nuclear power plants. We have, I think we have 4 around Hamburg. So they built around Hamburg 4 of these plants. He was in this movement, so that was in the end of the 70s. He was a real Christian, and I think this was no accident. It was somehow a sign of the Antichrist. So if you don't stop this, we will burn your church. And they never found out who laid the fire. They said, well, maybe there were workers and they smoked and they throw the cigarette somewhere. So they were talking like this, but I don't think so. I don't think so. They hated this pastor. I knew this pastor, and so there was a story when the fire burned. The church was on fire. He ran into and saved the cross from the altar. So you can see this was a very strong man. He was trying to save the cross, and it was all burning, and he came out with the cross. So he had a lot of courage, and they hated him, and later they dropped him out of this church. They get rid of him, but I remember this time the church was burning, and when I was confirmed, it looked like this. The old roof was gone, so they left it a little bit like in an English style. There are churches in Scotland and England. They look like this a little bit, but before there was a roof on this here. I show again. Well, this is how it looked in the beginning. Originally, it looked like this. Well, I just tell a little bit about my childhood, about my quarter I grown up, and about the wars and how this is all connected together. So there are many kinds of wars. The Antichrist bring us in, especially the Protestant nations. And going back to my street, I remember I was maybe 10, no, I was 12, I think. I looked like this, and there was Sylvester, and I was crazy for all these crackers and rockets, on the 31 of December. I went out when it was midnight, and the 1st of January, so there was a big firework, so all the people, so that was in 78 maybe, yeah, so this is 70 years after this, but just to show you. So I was on the street, my father was on a stair. There were stairs like this, He was standing up on the stair and watching what his boy do, So I had these rockets, and I created a special rocket, a super weapon. I fixed the cracker on the rocket, and when I started this rocket went against the house, right over the head of my father, and suddenly all the stars fall down, and he was standing in the rain of fire, and then suddenly he lifted his eyes and then starting shaking his head, and so he got a flashback from all these bombings when he was a boy. Well, he was 12 when the war was over, so he was born 33, and they were catched in this house, and they had in the street there were B-88s, this big anti-air guns, and Well, my real father, who was Chancellor here in Germany, he was first. He started when he was 20. He started on a anti-Ärgern company, not in Hamburg, in Bremen. I read he was in Bremen. This is also a town in the north of Germany. So he had to serve first on a B-88, I guess. It was a huge cannon, and they shooting all these grenades up in the sky, trying to hit this bombers, the American and English bombers. Well, he served first on a anti-Ärgern company, and later he went to Russia in the war. He was around Leningrad. This is today St. Petersburg again. So he had a lot of cruel experiences. But when I was a little boy, I had no idea that he was my father. Well, but I was addicted to all kinds of war games. You know, when I was a little boy, I was running with a stick through the forest and hiding behind trees and really playing war with some sticks. And I don't know, maybe I saw too much movies about Second World War. There was Deutsche Wochenschau, and there were so many films about the Russian war. So when they had this Stalin origin, when this origin, all these rockets came out, and was a awful noise they made. And well, my real father was right in this war. I only saw it in TV and television. And well, I had built a super weapon, and this rocket hit the wall of my house was somewhere here, and so and so my father started shaking head, and they were in a trap, you know, this. So they made a fake attack. So the Royal Air Force, they faked attack for Berlin, and then they make a loop, and suddenly they were over Hamburg, and it was too late to run in a bunker. There were bunkers everywhere. They had an earth tube. My father went in an earth tube when he was a child, and when there was time enough, he looked with his brother up. Well, they're coming the Christmas tree, so they lighted all up with magnesium, so that was shiny lights, so that they see the targets on the ground. Then there came the phosphor bombs, so the phosphor bombs were quite dangerous. They had sacks of sand, and so the father of my father, I mean my social father, he went up on a roof and then putting a sack of sand on a phosphor bomb. If you put water on it, it burns even more. So there were many people hit by phosphor, and they jumped into the river, and then they burnt more. They burnt in the river. It was awful. So there were awful stories. There was a firestorm, like also in London. So they flew and burned in the air while they were flying through this heat. Everything was burning, but not in my street. This houses they survived. There were other houses, they were bombed down totally. It looked like this. Then after 45, many streets looked like this, and my father played in this debris with his brothers. He had few brothers. So, and then you know, it was all destroyed, and every time a bomb hit a house, the whole earth was shaking, and they were catched here in this house, and they couldn't go out. And then this glass roof, you know, this stair hall, so there was a glass roof came down on them, and they thought, well, we are gonna die now. They thought this whole house crashed down and like this, and then there were many people. They died under this debris, and they were not found. And I knew a woman. She lived here, not far from here, and she was crazy. It was said that she was in a basement for many days, and she was crazy, always singing and yodel. You know, she was totally out of mind because she was. Some people said, well, she was catched in a basement during this bombings. You know, well. So my father was standing on the chair, on the stair, and shaking head, and he had a flashback, heavily traumatized, and I watched, and I I was thinking, oh my God, that was a good hit. So all the stars went went over went over him. Well, I'm sorry, you know, our relation was not always good, you know, and I thought, well, if he's not hurted, so well, it's a little bit fun, you know, and then suddenly he began to scream, "Alarm! Alarm! Everybody down! Down! Back to the house!" And then back to the house. No way, sir. It's time for my second rollout. So I had a bag with all these crackers, and then he was shouting like it was like a real war. So everywhere explosions, so and then alarm and shouting, and then like a real commander, you know. It was great for me. It was real fun, you know. Well, yo, commander, we will fight. Let's go into the fight. And then I throw all these crackers. Well, the trick was you have this crackers, and then you light it, and then this goes in this fire. I don't know the name, and then in the last moment you throw, and then in the air, you had these explosions. Well, sometimes the Chinese workers, they came out from China, these crackers, they had not such a good day, and suddenly it went like this, and then, oh shit, so it exploded in the hand. Well, I had sometimes this, so, and then this like ants crawling up the arm, and it was real pain, but only a few moments, maybe 1 minute, and then fight went on. And well, I was thinking, well, if you stand there and you can't come down, it's good. Stay where you are, so you can't disturb me. Because my father always said, well, you lay it down, and then you light it, and then you move away, and then so that was boring for me. I want to have it in the hand and throw it, and this is not what he liked. But lucky me, I never was badly hurted. I had maybe was the skin was burned maybe, but I never lost any fingers. You know, there are other crackers from Poland. They are much dangerous. They can yeah, you can really lose your fingers if you hold it in the hand, explode in the hand. But this China crackers, yeah, there were different sizes, A size, B, C, D. The D was the biggest size. Well, they were kind of dangerous. You must be very careful in your hand. Well, this you throw it away immediately. So for me it was a lot of fun, but not for my father. He got a real flashback, and it was really a horrible war. So he felt all this death threats, and he stand on the chair like he stand like and watching like this, and he couldn't move. He was like in a shock, you know. That was that was quite amazing for me to see this. Well, later he told me all the stories about Second World War. Well, he was a little boy. He was maybe 11 or 12 when all this happened in Hamburg. And but well, they survived. They had luck, and so the house was not hidden by a bomb. And all the other times they went into a bunker because his father was hearing all night long, the radio, and then every time there was a warning, so they went out of the beds and ran to the bunker, and so they were saved. But there were one time they had a accident with this fake attack. So, well, for me Sylvester was a great time. You know, every time Christmas was over, so we have 25, 26 celebration day, and then 27 all shops reopen, and then I spent all my money for these crackers and rockets. And well, I remember I had with friends, I had real battles on a playground, so we throw each other and fighting maybe like soldiers, so we hide, and then the goal was to bring it near to the feet. Well, we never tried to hit the face, because if you have an explosion right before your eyes, well, it can cost your eyes. We throw it only on the feet. So the war started always. We were standing there, we were talking. Somebody uh, light a cracker and put it on the feet, and then suddenly the other boys started to dance. Now we go in a war, and then everybody move, try to hide, and then throwing all these crackers. Well, that was not allowed. When the police came, we had to run. It was only allowed to do it on on midnight of 31st. But we didn't care. We 3 days before we had these crackers, and we made these battles with crackers. Well, that was kind of crazy. Um, well, it was only when I was young, and so maybe 12, 13. When I was older, maybe 16, I stopped this. It was only when I was yeah, I was younger. So when I went adult, it was no fascinating anymore for me. So, but there was a time I was crazy for this. Another Sylvester, I built my own weapon. I found a garden chair. So that was a kind of, it looked like a banana. One of this four. I don't know the name. A metal chair, and I had a metal chain, and I made a pistol, and so I put all this metal in it. So I built a front loader, so the first cracker in, and then light the first cracker, and the second in, and then I hold it in the air, and then poof, it came out and exploded in the air. So that was really crazy. Well, today I would not do this anymore, but well, I think while this fascinating this war, the all this well, the war was not so long ago. It was only, there were so many stories about the war. All these old people, there were old people. They were in the war, and they lived also here in my street. And some of them, they had only one leg. They had lost their leg, and there were many widows. Women, they lost their men, so they lived alone, and there was also a lot of sadness after the war. One time I remember exactly on this stair here, there was a woman, and she laid on the stair, and she was sleeping, and she was totally drunken, and so she emptied her body. So that was awful. I was a little boy. I was playing with my friend, and came along, and I saw her, and there came an ambulance, and they took her to hospital. And well, there were many broken people after. So this time after the war, well, they rebuilt Germany, and there was a lot of economic wonder, but there were many people hurt it in their souls, because there were so many things happened in this war, that all these cruel things. Well, look at my real father, how he looks. Well, he looked really well, he looks really scared or sad. He saw already all this cruelty in Russia. That was a vacation. He had a vacation, maybe 1 or 2 weeks, going back home to Hamburg. and after this he had to return to this war. Well, it was a cruel war, and then when it was destroying our Christian society. This is quite clear. Before this two wars, in Hamburg we had a Lutheran Bible-believing population. They went to church and they knew the Bible, and but this war, after this First World War was awesome, and they lost somehow the Word of God and this propaganda. Now we have here in Germany, because of this Corona, it is working nearly similar. There's so much fear. So yesterday I was going into here in Frankfurt, where I live, and I put in some flyers for, there are flyers for, I'm sorry, I don't have any flyer with me now, but so I put somebody in a, the post box, and then he came out and, well, didn't you read? I don't want to have advertisement, but I said, this is not advertisement, it is about this permanent lockdown, so that this will destroy our country. You should be glad that I gave it to you. Are you fucking Querdenker? This is the name of this, their demonstrations, and one is Querdenken. That means, this is the German name of this movement here we have, and also, and then he said, well, where's your mask? Why should I wear a mask? There's nobody but me here, so I'm standing alone here. And he was so insane, so crazy, and we don't need you, Querdenken, we don't need you anymore. So that sounds a little bit like, well, maybe we will bring you someday to a camp, or we will arrest you someday, maybe like that. So that people have so much fear about this virus, coronavirus. In reality, this virus is not dangerous, no more dangerous like a normal flu, but they are so scared. This propaganda is in every television broadcast, so that this movement, they are liars, so we are liars, we want to deceive the people. Well, and they are so blind, they are so stupid, they can't see that they are deceived by their own government. They can't see this, they can't believe this. Well, I think there's, I don't know if there's any hope for my people. What I said in the beginning of my video, it is somehow the judgment for this stupid people who believe in Satan and lost the Word of God. And well, it started with this family of Hohenzollern, William I, William II. They made such great military wonders, such a big kingdom, Prussia, and they were so blinded. Well, it started in 1871, I think, with the foundation of the Second German Reich, and all the stupid people who wave this flag of this time, this Wilhelm the second time and before, they are not innocent, because this was the preparation, the preparing of the German people for the Holocaust, that they lose the Word of God, and brainwashing them. If somebody knows the Bible, he would never touch the Jewish people. And well, they say, well, I have nothing to do with the SS, it was only the SS and the Nazis. It is not true. It was in the time of Hitler, Goebbels, where Goebbels he made all this propaganda, and Hitler said already in the beginning that he wants to destroy the Jewish race. Well, everybody knew it, and well, there were jokes. Well, can you imagine? My father died in a concentration camp. Oh, really? What have you done? He fell down the watchtower when he was drunken. Well, this was kind of funny joke. I must also laughing because it deals with guilt. You know, are the Germans guilty or are they not guilty? Well, I think not only the Germans. There were so many opportunities to bomb the railway to Auschwitz. There was no anti-air guns in Poland. It was all in Germany. So the American bombers, they easily could have bombed these railways, but they never did. They never did because they had instructions from the Antichrist, from Rome, from the Desert Order, not to destroy these railways, because the Antichrist he hates us Jews from the beginning, because the Antichrist know quite well that God loves us and that always will, and everybody who destroys the Jewish people will be destroyed by God. And so they looked for stupid people to do the dirty work, the Germans. And and I heard also other jokes in my class. You know, one day a guy asked me, "Well, tell me, how many Jews you can put in a Volkswagen? You know, this Beetle." And I said, "Well, I don't know." Well, 50. Yeah, you put 3 in the front, 3 in the back, 2 in this where the suitcases. Well, this suitcases is a really bad joke because they had really cars. They put in people, and then they took this gases from this cars to put it into a gas chamber. So it was a bus, but it was a gas chamber on wheels. You know, that was a really bad joke. But then the hammer was, well, and the rest you put all in the ashtray. So, and another joke was, well, don't give your dog Chappie, give him a Rabbi. So Chappie was the name of a dog you feed, you know, feeding dogs. So you feed your dogs with a Rabbi. And so there were some, not every guy did this joke, especially guys maybe, but there were some guys who found this funny and they were laughing, and this wicked pleasure to feel good when people had to die in a concentration camp. You know, when I was in Auschwitz, it was so unimaginable for me. You know, there were mountains of shoes, mountains of clothes, mountains of hairs. You know, they cut all these hairs and they made a big amount, so they used it for, I think they made, I don't know, there was a lamp made by skin, you know, use skin, so they made a lamp of it, and all these people, when they had to work there in Auschwitz, and they saw every day this smoke, and they thought, well, when my time is over, I will go through this cabin like all the others, you know, and you see it every day, and you know, there's no escape, there nobody is helping you, and so they prayed maybe that God will well, I have to die, but that God will see this and that there will be judgment. And the prayers were heard. I promise you, the prayers were heard. And now all this stupid people here in Germany, they can't see this is the judgment now for the Holocaust. So they are full of this bioweapons, and they don't realize. Well, there's also a lot of innocent blood, and sometimes I'm praying to God, my God, what is about the children? They are all innocent. Well, the answer was, well, they are innocent now, but this whole soil is poisoned by the devil, and they learn quick. These children learn quick this wicked fun, this satanic fun they have. So they learn from the adults. So this whole soil is poisoned by the devil, and it is a situation like in the Old Testament, the Ark of Noah. So that this is a real cleaning. I think the most people of my people, German people, I mean my German people, I'm a mixture between Jewish and German. The most of my German people, they are not able to realize what is really going on. So that Satan is free now and doing the work of God, doing judgment for all this wickedness. So, well, I can say this 4 years of persecution. You see me here sitting in my cabin, so sometimes I went in my garden, and all my neighbors, they having this scalar wave cannons, and when they see me coming, they having a beer and chin chin, yeah, he is coming again. So they say they are happy to see me then, so they run into their cabins and then giving me fire. And if you persecute an innocent man, well, God will judge you. This is well, I think it is judgment now. And will somebody survive it? Well, I think many will survive it, but there will be a lot of blood. You see, I see all these old people dying now, also innocent people, but well, they followed the devil, and they can't pray to God anymore. So if you can pray to God and ask Him for forgiveness, and praying to Jesus that He died for your sins, and find an escape from the situation, that you clean your body out, that you bring these Morgellons out, because they will kill you. They will kill you. And what is really amazing for me in the Revelation is, I don't know the chapter, it is a chapter where it is about white clouds. There are clouds, and these clouds maybe are these chemtrails, where the Antichrist fulfill the prophecy of the Bible. He knows the Bible quite well, and well, it's cruel. Well, it's really cruel, and I see also these children crying. So they eat this sweet, and then this shit is growing. Then after they ate the sweet things, they start to cry, and the parents, why you cry, you stupid child? So they get angry, and they don't know why. They have no idea why they are crying, because every time you eat sugar, this shit grows in your head, and and you got more and more of this mushroom. It's a mushroom. It's an artificial life form they created in a laboratory, And this is a real danger. All this corona shit is only to blind the people, and the most people, they believe it. In Germany, the most people believe it. And well, is there really are there really people that God loves so much that everybody who touch this people, the children of Israel, will be punished? Also, 3 or 4 generations later. Well, I think so. I think so, and I think well, they believed in Adolf Hitler, and he said, well, what I'm going to do is I will destroy all these Jewish people. Well, they knew it, and they vote for him, and well, and all these wicked Catholics. When I was in North Ireland, well, I was in a pub. It was in Londonderry. I was a young man, maybe 20, 21, and well, and I told him, I'm from Germany. Are you from Germany? Heil Hitler! Oh, I forgot that this maybe could cause on YouTube some trouble maybe. Well, I'm just talking how this Catholic man reacted. So, well, keeper, give him a beer. So Adolf Hitler, great leader, and I said, why? Well, he bombed London. London bombed. He bombed London. He's a great leader, and well, okay, but what about the Jews? 6 million Jews. I don't care about the Jews. So there were many people, they didn't care, so they adored Adolf Hitler. Maybe he brought new work for the German workers. So after the world economic world crisis in 29, they lost their jobs, and Hitler brought the jobs back for the people. And the Irish Catholics, they enjoyed Adolf Hitler because he bombed London. There were many people who they knew what he's going to do, and they said, well, I don't care about the Jews, so they are not innocent, and many people, they got this property from the Jewish families, the houses, the money, so they got all this, and they said, well, I don't care what they do with them. They bringing to East Europe, so they come in working camps, so they learn how to work, because the propaganda was that all the Jewish people are lazy, that they are living from the work of the German people. They are parasites, and we have to clean ourselves from these parasites. That was common. That was common. Not law. It was not a common law. It was common sense. So everybody believed this. After few years propaganda, and now we have this corona propaganda that we have to protect from this virus. Everybody who will not protect wearing a mask, he's dangerous, and we must bring him maybe in a concentration camp. Well, it can be. Everybody who refuses to get a vaccine, you don't want to have a vaccine, well, we bring you in a camp then, This is the way it goes now here. Well, but I must say that there are many good people now here in Germany. This country changed a little bit. There are many people who are opposing this. We had a big demonstration on Saturday in Leipzig. This is in the east of Germany. This is where this movement started in the end of the GDR, the end of the Stalinistic system in East Europe. It started in this town in Germany, Leipzig. That was a quite important movement in the end when the wall came down, in '89. Well, that was a big demonstration, and there will be other big demonstrations. Well, there there's really hope. I hope that we will get rid of this Corona regime. Now in America you have some other problems. You have this stupid. Well, I load also up some films about this. Uh, you know, this PC game, and it is all a game. They planned it many years ago. The Desert Order, the Antichrist in Rome, how we can split the people of North America, that they make war against each other, that they have a big destruction. So the Antichrist want to destroy America. It's nothing new, and well, pray to God and pray that He will save His people, that we can make a fresh start after the judgment. See you next video.